Murtaza Qizilbash has brought about a voice in Pakistani indie music that wasn't commonly found for a while now. It is raw, it's hauntingly beautiful, at the same time it has this melancholy feeling. And you can tell by the way Murtaza writes that he is a writer first and a musician second. And the thing is, he's not new at this either. He has been around for a while. Earlier he was working on this indie project called Kohram, and he also wrote some Sufi kalam called La Fana. But his current artistic maturity is deeply rooted in his background. I saw his Spotify Radar episode the other day, and he was sitting inside his family Haveli in the walled city of Lahore. He is a Lahori through and through, and the feeling of this Haveli is very evident in his music as well as his writing. That environment, the classical poetry around him, and the old city traditions are exactly what give his tracks that reflective and grand vibe. Right now, his solo work has been doing wonders, but at the same time, he has already collaborated with some of the biggest names in the emerging Pakistani music industry, namely Abdul Hannan and Samar Jafri. All in all, multiple of his tracks are currently in the top 10 most streamed tracks within Pakistan as well as Pakistani music around the world. It's crazy. I'm clearly not the only one who is a big fan of his work. The track that we're diving into today is called Hum. Of course, you've heard it probably a million times already by now. I have personally made multiple pieces of content on it myself. And that's because this track in itself has a lot of layers that deserve to be explored at a much more deeper level. And what I couldn't cover in those 2-minute long episodes on Instagram, you are here today for a longer, more detailed breakdown. Before we get to the actual song, the genius of this track is this seamless code switching between Punjabi and Urdu. He mentioned in that Radar episode that he's really attached to the Urdu poetry. He has read some of the biggest names growing up, and of course he has a Punjabi background, so he brings that flavor into his music as well. In any case, the two cultures are very intertwined, and the way he mixes up the language is just so phenomenal to see. Here, actually. The interesting thing is, the poetry itself, if you break it down, it's not that complicated. The words are not major, big, complicated words that you need to pull out a dictionary to understand. But the cleverness is seen repeatedly in the way he puts them all together, the way he makes the flow work, the way he rhymes the verses together, and the way he puts in metaphors exactly and only when they're needed. Now, let's get into the track itself. Now look at the way the song opens. He's not talking to his lover. He's not talking to the beloved. He's actually talking to the way that he has been on multiple times. Eh Rah Guzar, dear path, you know I've been here before. Do you not recognize me at all? I've been here so many times, walking this path of devotion, such that I have changed so much. Do you, the literal Lord, not even recognize me anymore? Then he says, "Tu befikr, baatein ye reh jayengi ankahi." This immediately reminds me of Asim Azhar track from Coke Studio, originally by Shuja Haidar, where the line goes like, "Suni nahi zamane ne teri meri kahaniyan." It's the acceptance that the world may never witness the love, the emotion that we have for each other. And somehow we are supposed to be okay with it. The world continues to move on, befikr, without any worry for me. And the story of this love may never be explored fully. As the verse goes on, he shows a complete lack of ego. I talk about you all the time. मैं वो रास्ते सजाऊं जिन पर तू चला. The way you used to come to me, the way you used to go back, I would love to decorate it such that that becomes a memory. He is actively hurting himself here. He frames this painful cycle not as a choice, but rather a majburi, a helpless necessity. The chorus uses these very simple 3 words as heavy anchors: Baqa, Saza and Jafa. First he says, "Meri baqa ye hai." Baqa in this case means eternity, survival. He's saying that his survival is tied to your existence, to your closeness. But almost immediately a contradiction hits. Now Now he knows that his betterment is being with his beloved, but at the same time he's not with his beloved, right? So that's why he's saying, हाँ फिर क्यों नहीं हो तुम हमारे? Because I know it that I'm better with you. You know it that you're better with me. Then why is it that we're not together? And hence the complaint. कैसी सजा ये है? What kind of punishment is this? He puts a lot of emphasis on the word Saza here, punishment, and then Jafa, the injustice. This section really shows the actual loop that he's stuck in. He knows something is best for him, he can't have it, so hence he is being punished. At the same time, he feels oppressed or the injustice that he is the only one who's suffering. But there's one word that we did not touch upon currently, which is Sada. Hang around for that word to come back a little while later. And then we enter one of the places where I find that musicians, artists, poets, a lot of times hide the very best section of their poetry, of their music, into the middle part or the second or third verse of the song. In this case, the best and the most noted part of the song is the following. जिस तरह से सांसें हैं मुझ में रवा जिस तरह से आँखों में बसता जहाँ मैं क्या ही कहूँ बसता है मुझ में यूँ तेरा जुनून हमदम. This second verse theory of mine, will come back to it multiple times, but you'll notice this across a lot of tracks. For example, in Titliyan with strings, then in Etabad by Junaid Jamshed, and then in Khwab by Junoon. It seems that the best of the treasures is hidden in the second or third verse of the song for a particular purpose. It's meant for the listener to actually lean into that part. Because while the first part of the song will attract you, the second part will make you fall in love with that track. So in this song, Murtaza drops a beautiful metaphor. जिस तरह से सांसें हैं मुझ में रवां, as important as breathing is to me. आँखों में बसता है तेरा जहां. I keep seeing you in my eyes. मैं क्या ही बताऊं, बसता है मुझ में तेरा जुनून. Your obsession, your madness, your craziness is what keeps me hooked to you all the damn time. This is not really about casual romance anymore. This is more like a mental obsession. And then immediately, while we see that this song is going towards a positive note, Murtaza flips the script once again. जल गया घर मेरा मैं जाऊंगा कहाँ मेरे अरमानों का है उड़ता धुआं. जल गया है घर मेरा मैं जाऊंगा कहाँ मेरे अरमानों का है उड़ता धुआं. The place that I used to call home, that doesn't exist anymore because my home was your existence there. Now I have nothing left. All the wishes, all the thoughts, all the imaginations I had are now burnt away into the flames because मेरा घर जल चुका है. And right then, this line, oof, beaut of the beaut. मैं क्या ही करूं खुद को बचाऊं या मैं खुद से लड़ूं. In all of this situation, the only thing that he considered as his love, as his home, is now gone. So he can either destroy himself thinking about that same loss, or he can save himself from thinking about that same loss. Because I do want to go back to that, but I can't, because if I do, then that's my destruction. But then again, I want to, right? So I have to fight against that want. He even tries to call it a khushfahmi, a wishful thinking. Everything that I have imagined that was great between us, maybe that was just a figment of my imagination. He says his mind is just as paranoid as everything around him. Mera dil wahmi. I keep worrying about things that may go wrong. Because to be honest, he doesn't have anything else to fall back on. But the track then seals the fate with a brilliant Urdu rhyme play on the word Sada. कि मर भी गया तो रहूंगा सदा. Now this Sada is different from the earlier Sada. Now in the chorus, he used a very similar sounding word, Sada. That Sada goes with a swad. And that word basically means call, invitation, crying out loud, or echo of the sound, or voice itself. But this Sada over here is with a scene. This Sada means everlasting, forever. He says the beloved's shadow, the parchai, is so heavy on him that मैं मर भी गया तो रहूंगा सदा. Even if I die, I will remain alive in your love, as I am a reflection of who you are. And then we go back to the pre-chorus part. This was the Punjabi part that I was talking to you about earlier. The way he code switches between the two languages is just so phenomenally smooth that you don't even recognize immediately when did he stop using Urdu and when did he start with Punjabi. Urdu is the language of the structured intellect, while Punjabi is the language of raw and direct emotion. When the pain in the Urdu verses gets very heavy, he switches over to Punjabi because he feels only Punjabi can actually reflect his real true emotions in its raw state. You might even call it a conversation between a brain and a heart, because sometimes if you can speak two languages, the language that you think in changes according to the situation you're in. The brain over here is arguing, while the heart is crying in Punjabi. How do I make my heart understand? I won't even talk about separation. It's fair to say that he is in total denial at this point, telling his eyes to keep looking down the path, waiting for the moon, but we know from the lyrics it's probably not gonna rise again. And then the last part where he brings back the chorus all over again. The last time he brings the chorus back, his cry is a little bit different. फिर क्यों नहीं हो तुम हमारे? This right here is his real expression. After all of that, why is it that you are not mine? And by the time we reach the outro, the track leaves you entirely haunted. Because Murtaza hasn't written about one person over here. He has actually highlighted an internal war through the use of simple words, rhyming metaphors, and a natural switch between Urdu and Punjabi. Hum captures the exact point where devotion stops being a feeling and becomes your entire existence. If you love this track as much as I do, you have to go through some of his other tracks as well. Murtaza has a brilliant signature style of combining modern indie production with traditional instruments like the harmonium and the tabla that you can hear in this song. Tracks like Tum, Maya, Bhool and Har Baal all carry that same deep reflective energy. Let me know what you think about this deep dive format in comments over here, and which song do you think we should include in the next week's release. Until next time, follow the more in the moment stuff on my Instagram link below. I'll see you around.